Hi, welcome back to Original Veg, and today we're going to be talking about lavender. What can it actually be used for? How to dry it out? These questions will be answered today. So, there's two optimal times to harvest lavender. One is when you're going to be using it for cooking. That's right, it's edible. Or the other one is if you're going to be using it for crafts or for drying out purposes. So the first one, when drying out the lavender, the best time to harvest it is when the buds are still tightly compact, just before they're about to pop open. So if you see one or two popping open, that's the time to harvest the lavender. The other time to harvest lavender, when it's edible and to get the most fragrance out of it, is when the buds are open. That's the time to harvest them, when you're going to be putting them in bread, or when you're going to be putting them as a substitute for rosemary. That's what a lot of people do. So they're the most optimal times to harvest lavender. When harvesting the lavender, we want to make sure that we're leaving 3-4 leaves. We don't want to cut it too short. That way it'll give us plenty of options when we're actually deciding what to do with the lavender. If you cut it long as well, it's much easier to dry out. So it might come to a surprise to a lot of people to know that the lavender is actually edible. But it is. The other herbs that it works best with, things like oregano, sage, rosemary, fennel, they work really well and complement each other. The lavender is quite a strong flavour, so it might be worth experimenting to make sure that you're not putting too much in. So you might be wondering which is the best lavender to actually choose when planting it out. The best one is probably English lavender. It's the sweetest and most potent. That way, if you're using it either for drying out or for cooking purposes, it's going to be giving you the best fragrance and the best flavour. So English lavender, that's the best one to go with. If you're going to be using it with food, the best time to cut it will be as close as possible. That way it doesn't wilt or doesn't dry out. We want it to be as fresh as possible, so we're getting the most amount of flavour with it.
So when we've picked our lavender, we want to then split it off into size. We want to try and fit the right sizes together. We don't want a situation where we've got small ones with big ones, really. And then once we've split them out between the medium and long ones, we just take a paper clip or anything to loop on to the elastic band. So just take the elastic band and we wrap around once and then twice, and then this then go through there, and then we hook it up onto the yarn.
All blooms of lavender should be thoroughly rinsed. Immerse them in some water, clean off all the insects, clean off the soil, then put between some paper towels or dab very gently to bring the moisture off the lavender. If you are going to be drying them out, try to keep them in bundles of 10 maximum. When hanging them, make sure it's in a really dry place. We don't want to be hanging them in your greenhouse or in a polytunnel where moisture's still in the air. We want it to be nice and dry so that it has the best opportunity to fully dry out. Try to hang them straight away. Don't leave them in a box for 2 to 3 days. This way they might bend or they might fold, and they might crack a lot more easily when you do come to try and hang them up. So that's it. Lavender, it can be used in so many things. Ice cream, it can be used with bread, it can be put into little sachets so that you can pop it into your sock drawer, so everything's smelling nice and fresh in the wardrobe. Or you can just hang it as bundles in the living room or in the kitchen, just to kick out a really nice fragrance. It smells so beautiful. So if you are seeing some of this around, why not just cut a few bundles and see what you can use it for? So there we go, lavender. It's so easy to harvest, so easy to dry out, so easy to use as a herb. So let's get using it more.